meeting of the Ascension Parish Council. Right now, we'd like to introduce the Reverend Felton Caesar to come up and give us the invocation, and he will be followed by Miss Peggy White to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please, sir. And also, while we're here right now, we have some special intentions. We want to have everybody, Reverend Felton, pray for Mayor Leroy Sullivan's mother passing away. Pray for Chris Lors, Councilman Chris Lors' father, been diagnosed with cancer. We also want to have a prayer for Parish President Tommy Martin as his brother Milton. And we also want to extend our prayers to Council Member Pat Bell's father, who's in emergency surgery right now. Please, sir.
Our Father and our God, we come this afternoon, dear God, to say thank you. Oh God, we thank you for your many-fold blessings. Thank you, oh God, for the blessing of life and the joy of your salvation. Thank you, oh God, for enabling us, dear God, and helping us, oh God, when we needed help. Oh God, right now we pray again for our being here this afternoon. We thank you, oh God, for this council and all the council people. Thank you, oh God, for all the councilmen, dear God, wherever they might be, and those who are here and those who are not here. We pray for them right now, Lord, in a special way. Pray, oh God, for the parish president. Pray, oh God, for all the sick and those that are afflicted. I may not know their name, dear God, but you know all the sick, and you know where they are, and you know, dear God, how they're waiting. Oh, dear God, we do believe that you are still the God who was yesterday, today, and shall be on tomorrow. You are the mighty God. You can heal, oh God, and please heal those, dear God, that are sick and afflicted. Master, I pray for this great parish of Ascension. I pray, oh God, for this beautiful state of Louisiana. Oh God, not only that, dear God, but I pray for these United States of America. Help, oh God, America to be strong, unmovable. And dear God, they have a saying that my country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, O thee I sing. Land where our fathers died, land of the pilgrim pride, let freedom reign. Oh God, again, I pray for us who be here today. And dear God, bless us that we have come to this place. And dear God, when our time comes, that we might leave this place. Master, don't leave us, but save all of us in a dying hour. This we ask in Jesus' name we pray. Amen, and amen.
We have Miss White up for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. White. Reverend Caesar. Right now, Madam Secretary, roll call. Please let it be known that Chairman Bell's not here. He's with his father in the hospital. And Councilman Benny Johnson's out of town on family business. I believe we have all others present. Tonight we have no chairs additions. Public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on any topic on the agenda, please sign in with the secretary and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak. Right now we'll move right into the presentation. The first presentation, Parish President Martinez, will be Donaldsonville Citizen of the Year, Mr. Nick Porto.
That's Nick. Nick is a good friend. We meet regularly on Thursday mornings at McDonald's, and he certainly deserves the award as Citizen of the Year. He does a lot for this community, and will continue to do so, I'm sure, because he's that stubborn. So, Nick Porto served a tour of duty in the Korean War. He is active in both the American Legion and Veterans of Foreign Wars. He serves as command of the Rifle Squad, which participates in all veterans' funerals. In later life, he has been instrumental in having more than 310 World War II veterans named to the World War II Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. He has also helped in getting Bronze Stars awarded to 6 veterans and has applied for Louisiana Honor Medals for 15 veterans. Nick, congratulations on being named Citizen of the Year. Have a certificate of appreciation. This certificate is hereby awarded to Nick Porto. The Parish of Ascension is honored to present the certificate to Nick upon your being named 2009 Citizen of the Year by the Donaldsonville Chamber of Commerce. We join with Councilman Chairman Pat Bell and the entire Parish Council in offering our congratulations and heartfelt appreciation for what you do to make this community a better place.
Thank you much. Appreciate it. No, I just want to say thank you to all concerned who was instrumental in getting this certificate for me. I appreciate it very much, and I will continue to do my best to do what I've been doing, putting World War II veterans in the memorial in Washington, D.C. I will continue doing that until my health says different. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Nick. Nick, I'd just like to tell you, hey Nick, I'd just like to tell you, somebody that worked in the same facility with you for 20 years and been knowing you for about 30, I know your accolades right now are based on your patriotic life and your civic life, and I can tell you that your personality is every bit as great on the job site, and you're a pleasure for everybody to be around.
Thank you very much.
Item B we pass on
Pass
for now.
on B.
Come to the next meeting. Go right into the Parish President's report, proclamation, Child Abuse Prevention Month. Mr. President.
Change that.
Change that.
Okay. We have a representative here. Okay, to proclaim National Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ascension Parish, and that's what the blue ribbon's all about. Whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious social problem in every community, the solution for which is the involvement of people within the community. And whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from the situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community. And whereas child abuse and neglect not only harm children, but also increase the likelihood of criminal behavior, substance abuse, and health problems. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Tommy Martin, as President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereunto proclaim April 2010 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in Ascension Parish, and urge our citizens to actively participate in the care and protection of our children. Thank you.
I think every year that I come up here, I end up saying that we're serving more and more kids, and I don't think it's because more abuse is happening, but I think it's because of support that we get from our parish officials and many, many other people in the community, we're able to let people know this is something that happens, and more people are reporting it so we can do something about it. Right now we're serving about 50 kids in the Ascension Parish area, and the number continues to increase. And I thank you so much for your support and hope that you will continue to support the efforts that we as Child Advocacy Services make in preventing child abuse in Ascension Parish.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. President, you got a next proclamation?
Yeah, I have a flood awareness week.
Yeah.
Mr. Callender is here representing the Amite River Basin Committee. Proclamation to proclaim April Flood Awareness Month in Ascension Parish. Whereas the Amite River Basin has throughout recorded history been substantially impacted by floods and can be expected to be affected by more floods in the future. And whereas some of the most devastating floods occur during the spring season of each year, and whereas the citizens, communities, and parishes within the Amite River Basin have suffered substantial losses during those floods, and whereas citizens and property owners should be aware of the measures which can be taken by them as individuals or through the assistance of government agencies to reduce the risk of flood losses. Now therefore be it proclaimed, I, Tommy Martin, as President of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, by the virtue of authority vested in me, do hereunto proclaim April 2010 as Flood Awareness Month in Ascension Parish and urge our residents to take the precautions necessary to protect life and property during this flood season. Mr. Callen?
Thank y'all for inviting us here. You guys are very proactive when it comes to flood prevention. You have several projects that are really protecting your citizens. You guys really set the pace for many of the parishes in Louisiana for flood protection. As you well know, with La Nina this year, this is probably the wettest winter we've had in 20 years, so this is more reason to be on our guard this spring because the swamps are full. We just need to be careful. And thank you very much again for inviting us here.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I'd like to give you a little report. Also, today is U.S. Census Day. As of today, the mail-in response rate for Ascension Parish is 49%. The state response rate so far is 45%, and the national rate is 52%. We continue to have the highest response rate in the 7-parish Baton Rouge region, but we do have a long way to go. Our mail-in response rate for the 2000 census was 70%. We certainly hope to do better than that this time. If people do not mail in their census forms, a census taker will come to their door. This costs about $60 per visit as compared to about 50 cents for a questionnaire to be mailed to you and mailed back. Very important. If you get your mail at a post office box, you will not receive a census form in the mail. A census taker will come to your door to fill out your questionnaire in person. If you haven't received a form and you think you should, you may call toll-free, and we'll post a number on the website. And there's a limited number of forms available at the Council on Aging and at Gonzales City Hall if you just want to go by and pick one up. But it's very, very important, and we want to continue pushing people to fill out the census reports. And other than that, I just want to wish all of you a happy Easter, and to you and all your families, and to everyone in the parish.
Thank you, sir. This time we'll move to item number 7, the consent agenda. Right now the chair would welcome a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Dennis Cullen. Second by Mr. Oliver Joseph.
Chair.
Discussion.
I'd like to propose a substitute motion to pull agenda item E for discussion.
Okay.
Second it.
We have an amended motion by Councilman George Valentine to pull the agenda item E for discussion, and we have a second by, who was it? By Mr. Todd Lambert.
In other words, approve the rest of it, Chair.
But we, and the motion to approve the rest of it with the pull of agenda item E. Any more discussion? Any opposition? The amended motion passes. We'll move agenda item E Guess the best place to move it right here
Can we discuss it now?
to discuss it now. If we got to give it a nine, we'll give it a 7, 7A.
Yeah, typically we'll pull an agenda item off the consent agenda to discuss. I'm sorry I didn't talk to the chairman before we did that, so we could pass on that agenda item. Mr. Grant, we have discussed this as strategic planning. I don't want the council to think that we approved to bring it to the council with the anticipation of a fee schedule. Last time we discussed this the other day, you said something to the fact that you were going to have a range of prices.
Yes, sir.
which we don't have.
What I provided to the Strategic Planning Committee was a copy of the amendment with the fee schedule and the proposed range, which was up to 50% of the fee,
Okay,
in the
so
fee schedule.
The fee schedule that you gave us is our fee schedule
The adopted
now
fee schedule, yes,
for
sir.
anybody.
Yes, sir.
And the way the resolution reads is that administration can negotiate up to 50% of the fee
The current fee
schedule
schedule.
for governmental entities.
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody knows what, quote, a governmental entity is, okay? Do we define it wildlife fisheries? Do we define anything connected with government?
State,
National
local,
Guard?
and federal.
It's not real clear, but I'm just asking for
State, local, and
clarification.
federal governmental agencies.
And the reason why we have all of these is just because of the fee that we have, what we pay janitors and
Yes,
and
sir.
cleanup people and all that is just for the record. Is that
Yes,
what
sir.
you got? But primarily, it's for the rental of the buildings. Am I
Yes.
correct on that?
That's correct.
The negotiation,
Negotiation for.
the ability to negotiate the fees for governmental agency is for the rental of the facility or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
That's exactly right.
And any other questions on that? Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, excuse me.
Do whatever you want.
You be the chairman tonight. He's not-
Anyway, we've recently had 3 events, okay, that were booked prior to us owning Lamar Dixon. One being the State Livestock Show, LSU. The next being the District Livestock Show, and then we had the High School Rodeo Association. I would just tell you that we do not make any money on those events. In fact, those are events that we actually lose money on. My point is, as long as we break even, I don't mind, but I don't want Mr. Lambert or anybody else coming saying at the end of the year, well, we lost money and we're losing money on this. Those are events that we're not going to make money on, but I certainly want to limit those because we got a bottom line that we have to meet.
Right.
So I would tell you.
And Parish President, I certainly agree, Mr. Chairman. And one of the things that we brought out in the strategic planning meeting is, for instance, this Ascension Parish School Board.
Right.
Some high schools choose to have their graduation at
Two
Lamar
of them,
Dixon.
yes, sir.
Some do not.
Right.
And so if they don't have it, that means they have to turn on their lights and pick up the garbage from their graduation and what have you. So point being is they should pay for the use of our facility. I do not know what we've done in the past, but they would certainly fall under this guideline.
Well, and again, I would say, again, like the District Livestock Show, we did not charge for that. That's a parish function. We ended up, we had signed some sort of agreement for like the shavings they use, I don't know, but it was $7 a bag. We sent them a bill for $488. That's what it cost us. But we absorbed the cleanup, we absorbed a lot of things. So those are some areas that we have to look at that, we're not going to make money on. It's going to cost us to do these events. I'd like to get to a point where if we're going to do any event, we at least break even, pay for our cost for janitors,
Sure.
as you said, and clean up. But that's not going to be a very popular issue
Right,
either.
I understand.
But again, it costs to run a facility like that, and we need to get to that bottom line. I'm certainly going to make sure that we in the positive at the end of this year.
I move adoption.
Second. All right, we have a motion to move to adopt.
Another question, I'm not sure, since we adopted this by ordinance, we have to amend it by ordinance, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure we do. We'll adopt the resolution, but I'm pretty sure it has to be an ordinance.
Yeah.
I think we need to bring it back.
Well, I think that's the way it states it, that's the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Any more discussion? Any opposition? Resolution passes. Move on to item number 8, planning and zoning recommendations. Mr. Ricky Compton.
Keystone of Galvez, Plan Unit Development Concept Plan by Quality Engineering Services in Council District 5. To accept or deny, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this item.
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Cullen. Second. Second by who? Second. Second by Mr. Shake Snyder. We have some speakers on this that I'd like to bring forward right now while we're here for discussion. First, we have Mr. Craig Russian.
Hello, Councilman. I'm Craig Russian. I live in District 5. I live on Shirleyville Avenue, which is just off 933, which is also the road into Keystone. I am opposed to the conversion of Keystone from its present status into a PUD. I am opposed to converting Keystone into a PUD because the citizens of Galvez and Ascension Parish lose our density protection once Keystone is turned into a PUD. Presently, of course, the minimum lot size for the parish is a quarter acre. We are, of course, 3 houses per acre, most of the parish, and a minimum of a quarter acre. If Keystone is turned into a PUD, we lose that quarter acre minimum lot size. Keystone is proposing 507 lots as a PUD. All 507 are smaller than a quarter acre. 81 units are 0.19 acres. 356 units are 0.14 acres. And 70 units are 0.07, or 7% of an acre. Those are just teeny lots, and they're just too small for Galvez. We're a rural suburban community, and to have over 500 lots with an average size of 13% of an acre is to force way too much density in housing on the Galvez area. I think it'd be very detrimental to our area. I'm concerned about, with that type density, what that area will be like 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And so I am very much against losing our minimum of a quarter acre lot size for Galvez. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, Ms. Jill Coward.
They're just standing up to show they're just other homeowners in the neighborhood. First of all, thank y'all for being here Easter weekend, and let you know that we do appreciate what y'all do for our parish. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association for Old Homestead, and I'm here just representing 128 lot owners. we are not in favor of any more changes being made. We were originally promised or told that Keystone was going to be one thing. It's now changed. Now the issue with the PUD, we just don't want any more changes. We like it to stay as it is. And again, just like the gentleman before me, the traffic, the increase in traffic. We just built 5 new elementary schools in our parish, and now, you know, we're going to go backwards and increase those classroom sizes, which is not what we want. We all love our schools, and we're all excited about our new schools that we have and the classroom size. So we ask that you please strongly consider our petition to deny this change. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, folks. Our next speaker be Mr. Brett St. Germain.
Good evening, Council. As a homeowner in Old Homestead, I was at the meeting a few years ago with the original developer and our parish councilman where this development was proposed. You've all seen it. Well, not all. Some of you weren't on the council at the time, but this was approved by the council at that time. We didn't necessarily like 750 homes in our backyard, but we came to accept that this was what was going to be built. The original site had 749 homes on 249 usable acres. And if you do the math, that's about 3 home sites per acre. There's about 68 acres of ponds in this development. I think that's correct. It's in here. Which brings the total to about 318 acres. So now we're going to go to 944 home sites, when you include the PUD, on 318 or 317 total acres. That's not usable acres. I can't build a house in the middle of a pond. With that, round numbers probably is going to bring 300-400 more cars at these home sites. That LA 933, Joe Severio Road, Norwood Road, not in shape to handle. 200 to 300 more students in our schools that are already busting at the seams. That's just estimates. All of these homes will go to Galvez Primary and Galvez Middle School as primary school and middle school students. Those schools are the older schools in the parish. They're not the newer ones. They're having trouble holding the kids they have now. The primary is relatively new, but not when you consider the 5 that were recently built. Normally when we modify a subdivision, we do it to decrease the density. This is a serious increase in density to this subdivision. It looks like the new developer took a gamble, and it looks like he's losing. Now he wants a bailout. Just my opinion. Who loses in this? As the gentleman before me stated, the Old Homestead residents of the Galvez area, northeast part of Ascension Parish. Due to the extra traffic, the higher student population, who wins? The developer wins. He gets more homes, more home sites, he sells them. The services in the parish win, trash service, James, All Waste, Dale's for garbage, communication services, be it E-Tel or Cox, the electric company, be it Demco Energy, the gas company, be it Atmos. That's who wins in this situation. Gentlemen, for the residents of the northern part of Ascension Parish, and for the residents of all of Ascension Parish, please deny this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Speaker Warren, is this Brunies? Thank you, sir.
I'm not going to need 3 minutes. I just want to state my piece. That property is directly behind my home in Old Homestead. That's not what we were promised. I was there for the first meeting. When they were developing it, they almost flooded me out. Mr. Lambert might recognize me. He was there at the meeting at the end of my street. I live right by Brett. I'm totally against this. I'm originally from New Orleans. I know what flooding, this gentleman back here represents flood awareness. More asphalt, more concrete you put, more flooding. And let me just put it real sweet and simple. Your vote depends on how I vote next election. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Kenny Mayer.
Good evening. My name is Kenny Mayer. I live in Timberlake Estates on Pine Lake Drive, and I'm one of the residents that's affected by this connectivity portion of this Keystone of Galvez, and I'm totally against this PUD deal. I mean, I've got some pictures here of supposed land that is going to be set up and given to the parish or whatever for a park. As you can see, I don't know what kind of park they're going to make out of land that's 8 to 10 foot deep that they dug to build up the property for the houses that they're putting on. And now, because of economic conditions, you know, or whatever that they have said, you know, in a statement that they sent to, that I received from the zoning, that when we're looking at this PUD, you know, and now here's my little street that they're looking at connecting to. It's we have about 35 total lots in our subdivision. It's a one road dead end street, okay? And they, for all practical purposes, I think, are buttering up or whatever, but they're saying they've got some land back there that they would be willing to give to the parish for a park, or give to the parish for a fire station, or whatever. Here's my road. It leads on to Henderson Bayou Road. Okay? It says no outlet. This one says deaf child area, children playing. Okay, you got ambulances, you got emergency vehicles, whatever else that they propose this, and if all of this comes to pass, where they get this PUD, which, you know, that's still in question. Kids enjoy ambulances. They hear a siren, what are they going to do? They got to run out there toward the street, see what's going on, you know. I mean, it's a safety issue. Plus the fact that, you know, some of this land here that accesses Keystone for a right-of-way, okay, for this fire station. Here's some more of the pond. It's got to go all the way around this pond. It's got to be built up probably 10 feet, this road, to meet parish standards. And what's going to happen to Norwood Road when they do this? I mean, you know, and there's already issues with the sewer system in the subdivision also. You know, and you know, like I said, I'm learning about how to deal with, you know, situations, and I'm asking that y'all consider rejecting this, you know, along with the other residents of the old homestead and all. Be willing to answer any of y'all questions that y'all have later on. I've spoken to a lot of you, and y'all know how I feel, and I thank y'all for y'all time.
Thank you, Ken.
My name is Lucius Salomon, and I'm a resident of Timberlake Estates. My home is on Pine Lake Drive, which is the street that is being considered for the connectivity aspect of connecting Keystone at the south end to Henderson Bayou Road. I'm a grandparent of 12 grandchildren, 10 of which are 12 years and younger, most of them under 5. And they enjoy coming to their grandparents' place because it's considered country. I moved where I did out of Denham Springs back 23 years ago to come to the country. And there are some very valuable features about that that we as residents of that area appreciate. And for many of those reasons, we do not agree and do not approve of this connectivity as it's presented. And that's my position this evening as a resident of that community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. I think that's all we have slated for speakers on this subject. We have a motion, we have a second discussion. Yes, sir, Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah. Gentlemen, when this Keystone development came, I was on board, I was on the council then, and we had a lot of controversy with it because they had a lot of drainage issues in that particular piece of property.
And there was a lot of controversy with 740 homes going there. Also, about the same time, we were in the process of trying to get rid of zero lot line homes, which is probably 50-foot wide lots and stuff. We did that. We come up with a PUD, and it's, to me, is a loophole to bring in more density into a certain amount of property. We put 50-foot lots, that is zero lot lines, and we voted that down because that's what the citizens of this parish wanted. You know, we always talk about quality of life. You know, when we bought Lamar Dixon, I don't know how many times I heard about quality of life. This is affecting all these people's quality of life on these roads and everywhere you see it. And I'm definitely against it. I also talked with the school systems. Lakeside was one of the new schools built to relieve Galvez area. Once this subdivision is completely developed, a new school will have to be built to handle the kids. You know, I know the development is probably going to take 10 or 15 years, but still, a new school is going to have to come to handle that. And like I say, zero lot lines, I'm against. You know, if you can go look at a lot of zero lot line homes that were built, you see a lot of for sale signs because their quality of life is bad. They have no privacy and they're on top of each other. So I'm definitely against it, and I will oppose this PUD.
Mr. Valentine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was on the council also when this came before us. At the time, it was a very large development. It met all the specifications to the parish, and there was a lot of discussion at that time and a lot of people that was upset that it got approved. But it got approved because it met the law, the planning and zoning conditions. I'm really disappointed that the planning and zoning essentially passed this, and that our staff didn't have more input on exactly what we're doing. And this is why. Because it's done totally, as most of the speakers have said, for economic reasons. It's not for a quality of Ascension Parish life. It's done so somebody can make more money. And that's primarily exactly why it is. Unless somebody can explain something to me, just because it moves from a subdivision that was already approved of 748 homes to a subdivision now of 950 homes, that's 200 plus homes. That's 200 more lots. That's 200 more buildings. Okay, that is a monetary reason. So they put out carrots to say, you have this property, you have this, and we're going to do a PUD now. That is the loophole that Mr. Lambert is talking about. And PUDs are not bad things. But when you start off with a PUD, that's fine. You have ways you can improve that PUD. You can come back and change things. This got approved already. It ought to stay that way. I don't think we should be allowing a developer simply because the economy has went south. You know, my 401k went south. Who's going to take care of me? You know, 1979 and 1980, they tore up the middle of Gonzales. The state did, to improve the road conditions for a better quality of life. I happened to be on the other end of it and lost a business and lost a lot of money. Who took care of me? Nobody. Now, I'm not saying that we're out here to take care of people, but I feel like there's going to be some more come to us because people have invested in property and the values went down. You're right, it has. But so has everybody else's value. So has my real estate gone down. It's not worth what it used to be either. But I'm the one that's got to take care of that because I made the choice. It's a choice. I don't expect the government to take care of me. I'm going to take care of myself. So this, to me, that's what this is about. It's about an economic advantage to a developer who made a decision to pay too much money for a piece of property now. He paid it then, now it's not worth the money. That's not my problem. I shouldn't fix this problem. I should worry about these people and what they were told when it was developed back several years ago. I should worry about the people that's already bought into that subdivision and what their quality of life is going to be. And I'm going to oppose it also. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
Yeah, I really appreciate all the input on this. But there's a couple of things here that I would like to amend to the motion. In Phase 2, whenever there's connectivity for Pond Lake Drive, if the fire station is located in the rear of this subdivision, to be a gated access only for EMS and fire. You know, a lot of this, you know, coming up with traffic and different things, fellas, you know, to get the car count we need at Joe Saverio and Duval Road, you know, we need these type of counts at these intersections, at Highway 933, Joe Saverio, to get improvements. I'm not for opening up another access through Pond Lake to Henderson Bar Road to just to bring, you know, reroute the traffic. I'm for improving these other intersections, and I would like to amend that in the motion.
Mr. Chairman.
See, I'd have to,
Mr. Chairman.
we're still in discussion, Dempsey. We'll go, you can speak again.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
And, yes, sir, Mr. Shakespeare.
I would like to direct, see if Ricky could answer a few questions. Mr. Compton. I've got some questions. Ricky, Planning and Zoning Director, just to help us through this process. Okay, can you explain to assist everybody in exactly what we're doing tonight? Because we're discussing particulars of this process, and I just want to make sure that everybody in here knows exactly what we're doing tonight.
According to our code, when the commission has made a recommendation to accept or deny a PUD, it comes to the council for approval, and at that time, the council can either accept the commission's recommendation, deny the recommendation, or accept with conditions. And so any conditions that you want to place on the approval of this PUD, you make with a motion. That carries through. The developer would then resubmit to the council depicting those conditions on the revised plan. Then we'd go through the next two steps of the introduction and the reading of the ordinance. At that point, the property is rezoned to PUD concept, and until a final development plan has been submitted and approved by the commission, it is still a PUD concept. If there are no major site changes, minor site, there's a whole list of criteria. If they develop the property according to the PUD concept, when they submit the final development plan, the property is then rezoned to PUD. So it's PUD concept until a final development plan.
And my question is, what is it? Explain what a PUD concept is. That's
the PUD concept, generally speaking, describes the access points. It describes the amount of park area, the amount of commercial square footage, where the sidewalks are going to be located, the trails, the lot sizes. It generally lays the framework for how the plan is going to be developed over the next 11, 12 years, according to their phasing schedule. If any element of that significantly changes or criteria, it would have to come back through that approval process.
Okay, and then any other particulars would go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission from that?
Correct. Once they're into the final development plan stage, as long as they're concurrent or compliant with their PUD concept approval, it will stick with the Planning Commission. So whatever modifications you guys wish to make to the PUD concept, you would do tonight.
Okay, so it would be appropriate tonight to modify for the connectivity like Mr. Lambert was speaking?
Yes, sir. Or any other options that you guys wanted, this would be the meeting to do that.
Okay. Now,
then once you guys apply any changes, it comes back to you guys basically again depicting those changes, and then you accept it or deny it at that point.
okay.
So it goes through the same process again.
If you don't just simply accept it or deny it. If you accept it with conditions, it comes back.
Yes. Because the conditions have to be implemented.
You need to see the plan with the
Right.
conditions
That's
on
what
it,
I'm
because that's
talking
what you're
about.
approving.
Yes.
Okay.
So
All right.
so basically, go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
So, just help me, what is going to be the proposal, what is going to be the actual density of this PUD as is proposed?
I believe, and once again, if I'm wrong, please correct me, that we don't calculate density based on net area. In Ascension Parish, we base it on gross. If you have portions of your site that are undevelopable, you don't exclude that from your calculation. So I believe we are still under 3 units an acre. We're right at 3 units an acre on the gross acreage of the property.
Yes, from my understanding, they could take that property and change the site and modify that and put houses with dirt work and...
Sure. I mean, if a site X in Ascension Parish is 100 acres, but it's zoned 3 units an acre, but 90 of it is wetland, they don't just get to build 30 units on that 10 acres. They get to build 300 units on 10 acres based on our zoning. It's based on the gross area. You don't net out unusable land.
All right. The build-out for this proposal, and let me back up a little bit. Did the developer, when did this process start? Did they go to you for suggestions on this? How did they come up with this plan? Because it seems to be pretty elaborate.
Initially, the developer and the engineer came and sat down in our office, and they talked about the idea of increasing the density in Keystone. And I don't know how to say it other than the only reason to rezone a piece of property, I won't say the only, one of the major reasons to rezone a piece of property is to make money. I mean, it's why you do it. And in order to get the product that is selling today in Ascension Parish, the only option is to rezone to a PUD in order to get 50-foot lots. And
all right, now my other question is, why would the parish recommend the PUD like that? If that is, what is the advantage for the parish standpoint? Because you're obviously work with them to come up with this plan.
right, and in my humble opinion, when this plan is built out over the next 12 years, the development that happens will be better as a result of the PUD than if they continue to simply build houses on lots with no sidewalks and no trails and no parks and no fire station. And, you know, I'm a resident of this community. I live in Galvez. I understand the traffic implications of connecting a major subdivision down a dead-end road. And that's why when Dempsey came to me and talked about making this emergency access only, I said, well, you know what, that benefits the community. I said, as long as we have some trigger in there that after the original 749 lots are built, we do another traffic study, and we understand what the implications are of adding 250 more lots. And if there's more improvements that need to be made, I believe the developer is going to have to make those improvements before we approve lot 750, lot 751. If there are traffic implications because of the increase of lot count, we need to make sure that they're addressed. That, you know, the intersections of Henderson Bayou and Norwood, or Henderson Bayou and 933, or Pine Lake Drive and Henderson Bayou. All of those intersections will need to be understood as to what the implications are of adding 250 lots.
So that comes up at the point that they reach the count that they have approved now, then they would have to redo the...
Correct. There's going to be a trigger when they hit a certain filing that they're getting 725 lots. When that 724th lot is approved, at 725, they've got to do a traffic study to understand the implications of the change in density, because their original traffic study took into account 749.
Okay. Will they have more or less, after the PUD, will they have more or less open space?
More.
So they will have more open space.
Well, I guess it was all existing in the existing development plan. The question is, what were they going to do in it? They weren't going to do anything. It was just going to be open space. With the PUD, they're proposing trails connecting through that. They're connecting sidewalks to those trails. They're going to build a tot lot as part of the approval. They're donating land per the recreation director and department. And, you know, I understand it is going to be low land. It's going to be field space that's considered dry detention. At times of the year in Louisiana, that's going to be wet. But at some point, it could be dry and you could use it. And the recreation department said they're interested in it. You know, they're donating a fire department. if that connectivity isn't approved, if it just goes away, I guarantee a fire station is not going to want to build a fire station at the end of a dead-end road.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to figure how this came about. And I do know with what I did check with the school board with the 12-year build-out, that they do have plans in place with the monies that they receive for keeping up with the schools. I was concerned about that. So,
Until we have an ordinance in place that requires our office to look at school count, I just can't do it. But I guarantee wherever we build a subdivision in Ascension Parish, we're going to be negatively impacting school counts because they're all over capacity.
regardless, I mean, it's going to come based on the economy. Okay. What modification can be made from this as it goes back? Let's just say if we pass a PUD concept, if it goes back to the Planning Commission, what options do they have there for particulars?
I don't have the list in front. It's several pages in our code as far as what constitute a minor site change or a minor use change or a major site change or a major use change. I can't recite it verbatim, but there are criteria in our code that determines whether or not it has to come back to you guys for approval or if it can stay at the commission.
But you could modify some things at that point, so we could still continue to make modifications.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Ricky, real quick, summing it up. Basically, what we're doing here tonight is voting to rezone this as a PUD and actually develop that as a PUD. And your best knowledge, based on our codes and where we're looking at and everything, that this land is better structured under a PUD to get the best use for the residents there versus just some other houses with no sidewalks, no playgrounds and things like that.
In my opinion, yes, the community will be better. And I do understand Councilman Lambert's opinion about the 50-foot lots essentially being zeros. I could argue the point that they're not, because they're not going to be built on the property line, but they are small lots, and you do minimize the amount of personal space. But what you get with a PUD is you return personal space into public space, and that becomes parks. And hopefully, you know, when those moms are out walking on the sidewalks or walking on the trails, that's the idea, is that you sacrifice those things. And the other idea behind this community gets back to the master plan and creating housing options for policemen and firemen. Let's drive through Keystone and see how many of those people are teachers or firemen or people that aren't making $300,000 a year and can't afford to live on an acre. That's the whole idea with creating housing options and creating a variety of lot sizes.
And it's basically an urban effect, and I see where he's got 81 low-density residential units, 356 medium residential, goes on to 70 high-density.
Right, and
so
when this original plan was
mix.
approved, PUDs didn't exist in Ascension Parish. They just didn't exist. There wasn't an option to do this. And so coming back after the fact, yeah, it does look like they're changing their game in the middle of the process, but this wasn't an option. There was no ability to put commercial at 933 when this plan was approved.
Anybody else got any other? Yeah, Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Ricky, while you're up there, I talked with you lengthily several times on this issue. Smart growth, you know, give me your reason putting this there. It's going to be smart growth. In my eyes, I don't see smart growth there. I see school issues. I see traffic issues. Yeah, we're having some parks, but they're in the swamp, right next to a canal that's got snakes, that's got everything else. You're going to want your kids to walk through trails that's possible got snakes, you know. There's many things. You know, I know we keep saying we're sacrificing a lot of things by putting parks, and we're putting for the fire department, but that's not a big sacrifice, because they're going to be selling these 50-foot lot a whole lot quicker. And to me, you mentioned excess points. When the Planning Commission looked at this whole plat the other day, I watched it on TV. I wasn't able to make it, but I try to watch most of the Planning Commission meetings. And access point, the one that Mr. Dempsey is wanting to eliminate, which I'm totally not for connectivity, but the Planning Commission might have approved this PUD because of all the access points. That's not an access point no more if you put it just for emergency vehicles. So
you got that issue going to come back at you. And I just, in my eyes, I don't see it. I know your opinion, you come from Florida or wherever you came from, and your opinion is different from mine, but I'm representing the citizens of this parish that I've been living in this parish my whole life. And I talk to them, and I'm in the public all the time, and I'm hearing input from them, and that's where I'm making my decisions. And that's the people I'm representing, not just an opinion coming from outside. So I guess what I'm asking, give me your opinion of this being smart growth with the issues that I brought to you.
There are 10 principles of smart growth that are recognized nationally. Create a range of housing opportunities and choices. This plan does that. Create walkable neighborhoods. This plan does that. Encourage community and stakeholder collaboration. That's what this is right now. Foster distinctive, attractive communities with a strong sense of place. They spent over $1 million on a bridge. They're creating an identity for Keystone, and I imagine that when they build a park, that will be part of that process. Make development decisions predictable, fair, and cost-effective. That's more about what my office can do to help this process move along as we do smart growth across the parish. Mixed land uses. This PUD has commercial and residential. Therefore, you could argue that meets that one. Preserve open space, farmland, natural beauty, and critical environmental areas. A major bayou runs right through the middle of this project that's being preserved and not impacted. Provide a variety of transportation choices, sidewalks, trails, and streets. That meets the goal. We don't have transit in this parish, so we can't count that. Strengthen and direct development towards existing communities. When you push development out onto the fringe, you increase the infrastructure costs for sewer, for water, for roads, for parks, for fire. When you infill development, which is what this is because we're changing an existing development, you're meeting that goal of smart growth. Take advantage of compact building design. When you decrease the size of your footprint, you're able to put more people into an area. And while I know that there are people that do not think that that is what Ascension Parish residents want, I think the market will dictate what Ascension Parish residents want. And if after 2 or 3 years they haven't sold any lots, I bet they come back and change the footprint to make them bigger. That's the 10 principles, national principles for smart growth. This piece of property hits almost all of them. That's how I believe it does it, and that's how I think as we continue to develop property in areas that are designated in our zoning map in the PUD, SPUD, T&D overlay, and in other areas that are going to be designated in our sewer plan, that's how we're going to get there. That's how we're going to preserve the rural character in the places of the parish that want to stay rural.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Valentine.
One more comment, and I guess that has to do with the, it looks like a big donation, acre and a half fire district. But do we have any plans to put anything there? I mean, we got a fire station right down the road. I mean, so what? They're going to donate, but I mean, our fire district is strapped for money as it is. We're having to supplement it to put part-time people there on the basis. Yeah, it looks good, but it's just a way that I think, and I got to agree with Mr. Lambert. I've had a lot of conversation about urbanizing this parish, and there are a lot of people that just don't like it. And just like anything else that's going on in politics right now, just pass it and wait and see what it is. Now, we approved Orange Grove and thought we had a great plan. The school board got land, everything. What happened there? Now it belongs to Sorrento. They don't have to do nothing. Don't have to put sidewalks. Don't have to do anything. So this fact, if we're going to approve it, we're going to have a close knit. They got to come back to us to approve it. We approve it tonight, it's going to end up just like it is. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I will support this P&D on the contentions of what I was brought up earlier about these Pine Lake, the connectivity. I'm not too crazy about a fire station being at the back of the subdivision either. If they can work something out where they can get it to the front, I'm fine with that. Acadian ambulance.
they are looking for a location in the northern end of the parish to locate. This would be the perfect place. Like I said, I'm not too crazy about it being at the rear, but if some way or another we can get together and they can move it up to the front, you know, donate the acre and a half to the recreation. But we need, you know, I'm not too crazy about that. The other thing is, you know, I'm not for connecting these subdivisions neither. Old Homestead, they have connectivity up there if they want it. They haven't mentioned it, but I'm not for that. So I'm willing to support this with contention.
All right.
I'll put that in the motion.
We haven't heard from the developer. If we got some point-blank questions that you guys are ready to field those questions. There's been some questions that came up to you tonight. I believe that planning and zoning.
I'm going to call point of order.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to call point
I
of order, Mr.
apologize.
Chairman. Unless somebody requests him to come up here to answer a question, he didn't sign up to talk. He don't get to talk.
So
I mean, absolutely.
I can't request to hear from you? Okay.
I'd be honest with you, Chairman, no.
That's good.
I mean, if somebody else can, I mean, I'm just, you can rule on it. You say you can, Chairman. I'm just calling a point of order, and you have to rule on my point of order.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm just saying, I think it's out of character for us to call the developer up to talk, to defend something.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Shake Snyder.
Mr. Chairman, not knowing all the answers, I would like to have the developer come up, and if there's anything that is contested or there was anything that, from your standpoint, I'd like to hear that too.
Well, since you are here, sir.
Is that permissible, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I guess any mode that I would be was basically for some clarification. Mr. Lambert made a lot of, said some things that he would like to amend the motion that he made based on some contingencies. Mr. Valentine made a very valid point based on where we ended up with Orange Grove. Okay? And it is a thought that goes to our mind, is that once it leaves our hands, is that we don't have any control over it, based on several years down the road of things to come.
Yes, sir.
Sir, go ahead.
Just a point of clarification, Mr. Chairman. I'm not the developer. I'm the
Okay.
representative of the developer. I'm from Quality Engineer. My name is Jared Barger, and I am listed on the agenda as Quality Engineer, so I'm not actually the developer. Just want to make that clear. You asked me a question about what happened with Orange Grove versus what we're doing. Orange Grove was approved by the Parish Council and also Planning and Zoning Commission. They're right next to a municipality, Sorrento, in our parish, and Sorrento actually annexed that particular piece of property. And that's how Orange Grove was able to do what they did. And this particular development is not by a municipality, and unless Galvez decides to incorporate, I don't think that could happen to us.
Well, I guess that's not what I want. I was just asking that basically some of the things that Mr. Lambert talked about, if there was some.
I believe I still have the floor. Could you please explain what Mr. Lambert had asked for, the emergency connectivity?
Yes, sir. When we first came to the parish, as part of the master plan, Planning and Zoning requested us to have the connection. They also asked us to have a public meeting with Pine Lake Drive residents. We did that at Galvez Lake Fire Station. It was very clear they do not want the connectivity. We went back to the parish, Planning and Zoning Commission. We told them about it. We also contacted Councilman Lambert, let him know what was happening, what happened in the meeting, and Councilman Lambert recommended doing away with connectivity, making it emergency access so the fire department can still serve both communities, Keystone and also the Henderson Bayou.
area. And I think that's what he's alluding to tonight, and we'll do whatever the governing authority wishes to do. We have no problem with that.
The connectivity came through with the planning and zoning?
Sir?
Connectivity came through with planning and zoning recommendation?
Yes, sir. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended this PUD being approved with connectivity.
That is one of our goals, is to get connectivity within our different developments. There's a question about whether you would do this in existing developments that are designed or not designed for this connectivity. And my question to Ricky is that this other development, was it designed with the idea of connectivity in mind? When it was designed, the other development?
I mean, that was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but the street does end at the property line. So there's not a spite strip, there's not a lot at the end of the street. The street terminates at the property line. I believe, based on the discussion that I had with Mr. Mayor, that the original owner at some point had planned on developing further into that area with a golf course and some other stuff. So the intention 30 years ago may have been to extend, but I can't confirm or deny. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and I understand the fears of everyone, because I live in Park Vista in Gonzales, and we lived on a street that for 15 years, and eventually it was connected to Pecan Grove, and people started coming in there. I understand that. So I do understand that situation. But so all of the things that were mandated were either by the Planning Commission or through the Parish Planning and Zoning.
right, and I may question the timing. I believe the first time the plan was brought to my office, that connection was there, and that was when we suggested they go meet with the residents, because that's a huge change. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I said, yeah, you should have a road that connects to Tiger Lewis, but they dug a big pond, and that eliminated that connection. That would have given them a connection all four directions. You know, things change over time, but I'm pretty sure that the road was there when they came to my office the first time.
And why should we try to get connections? I mean,
well,
I know it's in the parish code that we should try to get connections to
when you analyze the miles that the school board drives buses, when you look at the routes that fire trucks have to go to put out fires, the more that we can connect roads, the lower our fire rating is going to be. The more we can connect roads, the less miles school buses have to go. They don't have to get out on the highway. They can sort of make their routes more efficiently. The master plan is contemplating how all these things affect generally a bottom line. They are going to affect people, and people aren't going to like how those changes affect them. But what we're trying to say is those changes do serve a greater good.
Implementing these programs, historically, does it raise or lower the value of the houses?
I mean, historically, what you're going to find is communities that connect into new communities are more likely to gentrify over time. When you continue to maintain isolation from development, it's less likely that your property is going to increase in value. If you provide a connection, it's more likely that that property could be turned over at some day to sort of become a better or bigger part of that community. And I'm not saying that, you know, that's a quantifiable thing. I'm just saying you can look at neighborhoods where they've done infill development, and you've seen that by building a higher priced housing point or a newer house, that people see the value of tear downs and rebuilds.
We've been instituting this zoning, and I know people was opposed to zoning at the beginning, and then whenever it was done, we increased the value of people's houses compared to other parishes. Compared to other neighboring parishes, our value of our housing is where?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, I think as we continue to improve the quality of life by building sewer, by increasing our park standard, by building more parks per resident, by doing all those things, I think quantifiable, you'll start to see that, yes, our price point is going to go up. I don't have those numbers.
Okay. All right, I'm just trying. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, Ricky, while we're talking about the connectivity, there again, we're looking at a amendment over here to put a private, access to it with a gate across it. How is that going to access your school buses, your fire departments? I see your point, but it's not going to help at all. Now, when this subdivision originally developed, no, it didn't have connectivity on the backside. It only had Duval, and it had some controversy on Duval. There's a lot of people upset on Duval Road, too. I know quite a few friends live down there. That was the only other connectivity. So you got two ins and outs of 1,000 lot subdivision. And that was the original plan. Well, the original plan was 749, and I think that's where we need to leave it. If they want to put some smaller lots, let's keep it 749 and let them shrink it and eliminate some land up front. Put the fire department up front instead on the back end. You won't have to connect. So I'll probably make a amendment that we keep it at 749 is my, on the whole piece of property. If you want to put 50-foot lots, go ahead and put them, but still the same amount of homes on this property.
Mr. Lambert, you got that in the form of a amended motion,
Yes,
sir?
sir.
All right. We have a amended motion to the amended motion to have a variation to keep it at a maximum of 749 lots in this PUD development, should it pass. Do we have a second on that amendment?
Second.
Second by Mr. Valentine. Yes, Mr. Lambert, you were asking to speak.
Yeah, one of the presidents of the Homeowners Association, Mr. Kenneth Mayer, has been holding his hand up. I'd like for him to come up if he has something
Chair
else on
doesn't
his.
have a problem with that. If anybody else, Mr. Oliver Joseph,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, I'm sitting here, I'm kind of confused here,
Okay.
because we got a motion on the floor. Should we vote on that motion? Then we had an amended motion by Councilman Dempsey over here. I mean, I'm trying to figure out where I'm at
That
on
was
this.
my question. That's
Yeah.
where I was going. I was going to ask.
Okay, well, let's our table. We'll back up.
Yeah, let's get some things straight.
We'll back up. Let's put in a vote. Madam Secretary, we're going to vote on the amended motion by Councilman
Hang on, Chair.
Lambert.
Point of order, Chair.
Yes, sir.
My discussion on what Mr. Lambert brought up in my second was, I'd like to ask council to make sure that we're doing this properly.
Yes.
You can approve a PUD with conditions. How do you place a condition on it?
Mhm.
Okay, Mr. Dempsey, Lambert wants to put a
Yes.
certain condition. Mr. Lambert wants to put a condition. Do we vote on conditions separately? Mr. Crompton, you want to explain that to us?
Yes.
The understanding that I have is you guys are either accepting the commission's motion, which was to approve, you're denying their motion, which would be to deny, or you're accepting it with conditions. And so one condition could be the access to Pine Lake Drive is emergency access only, that I don't know how we accomplish. How do you put a private gate on a public road? I don't know. That would have to be worked out before that connection could happen. The second motion, the amended motion or condition could be you only hit a maximum of, which would mean they'd have to revise their entire concept plan. That would have to come back to you for approval before it would move forward to the next stage of introduction of ordinance.
Yes, sir. Madam Legal, Ms. Lindsay Mann, would you please step to the podium and clear us up here, ma'am?
I think you should take the amendments separately. I think that would be the cleanest way to know how everybody stands with each condition that you're imposing.
I do have a clarification, Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Valentine.
All right. What Mr. Crompton is saying, that we can approve with conditions, okay? I don't want us to approve with a condition and to approve again with a condition. We have to approve the conditions.
Well, that's what
Can
I'm
we
getting
vote on
at,
the
sir.
condition by itself? Is that correct?
I think as long as the condition doesn't contradict another condition, that would be acceptable.
So what we would vote on first was Mr. Lambert's condition about closing off that road first. And we could vote on Mr. Lambert's condition about 749 leaving. Okay, thank you. That's what
Okay. All right, as we go through our motions, the first motion we have is by Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
Well, can I ask?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I
Mr.
apologize. Ms.
Mr.
Manda.
Lohr, let's all get a legal lesson here.
I'd like one. Do we vote on the approval of the concept first and then vote the conditions? Because what if, I'd like to know if...
There was, I think there was a motion on the floor with an amendment. Am I correct? Is that where we left off?
We
never voted.
We have not voted on the concept, ma'am. We have an original motion for the concept. We went into discussion. During discussion, we had an amendment by Mr. Dempsey Lambert to have some conditions in. Throughout discussion after that, we had an amended motion by Mr. Todd Lambert to put some more conditions in. So to date, we have not voted on anything.
Okay.
All right, so please just give us some
If
direction.
Mr. Lambert would be so kind as to rescind his amendment, we could vote on Councilman Lambert's first amendment, accepting the PUD with that condition, and then we could take up a second motion with an additional condition.
That's fine.
And then
Chairman, I
unrelated.
will rescind it for...
We've got connectivity.
Thank you,
here,
sir.
And then density.
Later time.
Madam Secretary, be it known that Mr. Todd Lambert rescinded his amended motion.
Rescind your second.
We have, stay at the podium, please, ma'am. We're a little ways from home right here.
Yeah, how many PUDs do we have?
Okay, so right now, as I understand, on the floor, we have the motion, the original motion with amendments by Mr. Dempsey Lambert.
Correct.
And do we want to restate the amendments?
With
To make sure
condition-
everybody
with
understands what they're voting
conditions.
on.
The condition would be at Phase 2, the connectivity at Pine Lake Drive, that we have a gated at this access for fire and EMS only, and I'll put that in one of the conditions.
I second that.
We have
Mr.
that
Lambert?
amended motion, and it's seconded by Mr. Shake Snyder?
Are we going to discuss it?
Yes, after we
Okay.
get a second, we'll go ahead through discussion, sir. Please be patient. So that's what we have right now. Yes, Mr. Valentine.
Ms. Lindsay, I'm going to have to disagree. And I'm going to disagree to the point that if we vote on approving the concept with the condition, and it votes yea, it's approved. What changes? Then Mr. Lambert votes to approve the concept to put his condition, and it fails, then it's approved. I mean,
That's true.
I mean, right? I mean,
No,
I'm
you're
just using,
correct.
We
I
want
could be
both
totally
conditions
wrong
coming
here.
back to us.
Would
Point of order, but my understanding is that he made the motion was made to pass the PUD. He made a condition. We're only voting on the condition as far as I understand.
Well, that's not.
Because that's the amended
I
motion.
understand that's what you're thinking, but that's not what we're doing.
That's
Right.
not
the way it
There
should
may be
be,
several
as-
conditions that arise from the discussion, so you might want to finish your discussion and someone make a motion with all of the conditions.
I would like to just suggest that while we are in discussion, sirs, all of you, that we can go forward with a motion with all the conditions, and be it if it comes from two different people, or do they each have to enter their conditions? Do we keep amending down till we get to all the conditions in? You want Todd to make a motion to amend Dempsey's amendment to add another condition?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Point of order, I mean,
Yeah,
it's no different than
please.
any other amendment we make. When you make a motion and then you amend it, you vote on the amendment only. If you accept the amendment, then you go back to the original motion. And we can also add another amendment that we can vote up or down. Once we vote on all the amendments, up or down, then we can go back and vote on the PUD with the passed amendments. And we can still vote it up or down. And so I don't think I think that's the only way you can do it.
One question on this.
And that's Robert's Rules of Order, that's the way you
Yes.
should do it.
Okay, then we'll go right back. We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Dempsey Lambert to accept with condition for an emergency access at
Pine Lake.
Pine Lake Drive only, And we have a second on that. And what was your other?
That's it. We vote.
Second by Mr. Kent Shakespeare.
Discussion.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Todd Lambert.
Mr. Ricky, you a little bit stated just a little bit ago that all conditions had to go back to the planning commission and can't come back to us for introduction individually. So we really, I don't see us voting on it tonight because they're going to be coming back to us. We putting the conditions in there. You said you was going to bring them back to us, correct?
Correct. Our PUD code is a little convoluted.
It's different than an amendment on a regular motion.
You are accepting the recommendation of the commission with conditions. When you're through determining what those conditions are, they've got to come back to you with a revised plan, and then you will accept that plan, and then they'll come back for introduction of an ordinance.
There you go.
Okay. Clear that up. Thank you.
So can we have one amended motion? I think we know all the conditions so far, unless somebody else has another condition they want to it. Mr. Shakespeare, sir?
Just go with the first one.
We still going one condition at a time? We got it, it's on the floor. Any more discussion on the amendment of conditions for the emergency access? Any opposition?
I oppose. I'm going to have to object.
Okay, Madam Secretary, please poll.
Councilman Cullen,
Yes.
Councilman Joseph,
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert,
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert,
No.
Councilman Lord,
Yes.
Councilman Shakespeare,
Yes.
Councilman Thompson,
Yes.
Councilman Valentine,
No.
2 nays.
Motion passes. I think at this time, we go into another amended motion for the second condition that was discussed.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, because I already rescinded it, so I'm going to
Yes.
remake it. That we keep it at 749, which is what the original plan was, but if they want to go with the PUD in that particular, piece of property, they can, but keep it at 749.
I'll second that.
We have a motion on the floor, amended motion for condition to the PUD by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Valentine, to keep the total count at 749 household. Any discussion? Any opposition? That passes. Now that we have the conditions out the way, I can only assume that there's no more conditions that need at the will of the board tonight. Yes, Mr. Oliver.
We just passed, we had two no, but we didn't go roll call.
You did go roll call when you had 2 no.
There wasn't 2 no on this.
Yeah, no objection.
No hold stuff no longer.
Now you got to vote
All right.
on whether you go.
Now we're gonna vote on to accept or deny. We have a motion that has been already in. Don't have to, that's great. That's great. Need another cup of coffee. George, go get me a cup of
You
coffee.
did fine, bro. It's not fresh enough.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, everybody, fellow council members.
Question.
Yes, Mr. Thompson. Sir? You had a question? Okay, no more questions. Without further ado, we'll move to agenda item number 9, zoning review ID 2063, track 10 for Germany Land Development LLC. Mr. Compton?
To amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from medium-intensity residential, RM, to crossroad commercial, located on the west side of LA Highway 44, approximately 700 feet south of LA Highway 931, to accept or deny The zoning commission recommended approval of this item.
Chair would entertain a motion.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Chris Lohr. Any discussion on this item? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 10, zoning ID 264.10, Lot 1 for Parish of Ascension.
To amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from mixed-use 2 to medium-intensity residential located on the west side of John Broussard, approximately 650 feet north of LA Highway 42. To accept or deny, the zoning commission recommended approval of this item.
Motion to accept.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Chris Lohr, a second by Mr. George Valentine. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Compton. All right, we'll go on to agenda item number 11. Resolution authorizing the parish to execute the act of sale of the wastewater steel treatment plant located in Ascension Parish Jail.
Mr. Clore,
Yes, sir.
I thought we was gonna use that, treatment, plant that's at the jail and some other area.
Councilman, the intent of these motions is to procure it. We've been leasing it, and we're now trying to acquire it because we've reached the end of that lease term. So, yes, so we can use it elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
That's the whole purpose for these two motions.
Make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Adrian Thompson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. With agenda item number 12, ratify the lease agreement for the wastewater steel treatment plant currently under lease located at the Ascension Parish Jail.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, a second by Mr. Oliver Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. We'll move to item number 13, approval of the lease of the Price LeBlanc Facility LLC for the use as a polling place for Ward District 4, Precincts 16 and 17 of Ascension Parish.
Motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Thompson,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition?
Discussion.
Sir?
Discussion.
Discussion, yes, sir.
I just, Mr. Poche normally handling this here, the justification for it and all that.
I think Mr.
Councilman, I can answer that. The facility that this polling place was in, basically it closed down and they're moving it to an adjacent location nearby.
I just, just last time we had stuff like that.
Right, but the governing authority has to approve every polling location, so I just put it on the agenda.
No further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. We'll move into public hearing ordinances. Agenda item number 14, reading of ordinance. Ms. Manda.
Purpose, to create a consolidated utilities district in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 337711 et sec. On the east side of the Mississippi River in Ascension Parish, outside the boundaries of the city of Gonzales and the town of Sorrento as they presently exist, and to establish the powers, duties, and authorities of such district. Creation and purpose. The purpose of the Ascension Consolidated Utilities District Number 2 is for providing economy and efficiency in the furnishing of utilities on the eastern side of the Mississippi River in Ascension Parish outside the corporate limits of the city of Gonzales and the town of Sorrento as they presently exist. The term utilities is hereby defined as water and sewage. The governing authority grants into the district the rights, powers, and authority herein described, including but not limited to the power to assume the indebtedness of water districts number 1, number 2, number 5, number 6, and number 8, and sewer district number 8 now existing. Ascension Consolidated Utilities District Number 2 shall comprise the entire eastern side of the Mississippi River and Ascension Parish outside the corporate limits of Gonzales and Sorrento as they presently exist, with the authority to plan, finance, construct, acquire, improve, operate, and maintain water and sewer utilities within its designated boundaries. The boundaries are described in Section 1. Water Districts Number 1, Number 2, Number 5, Number 6, and Number 8, and Sewerage District Number 8, currently existing, will be abolished according to the law after adoption of this ordinance, and all functions, obligations, and grants are to be assumed by the Ascension Consolidated Utilities District Number 2. The Ascension Consolidated Utilities District Number 2 shall be governed by the Ascension Parish Governing Authority. The governing authority shall appoint an advisory board of 5 members, which board shall assist in the operation and administration of the affairs of the consolidated district under the general control of the parish governing authority. Such board shall be organized and have such powers and duties as the parish governing authority may determine. Members of the board are required to reside within the district. Purposes and powers. The district acting by and through the governing authority of the parish of Ascension shall have and may exercise all powers necessary or convenient for the carrying out of its objects and purposes, including but not limited to the following rights and powers: to sue and be sued, to adopt, use, and alter at will a corporate seal, to acquire by gift, grant, purchase, or condemnation proceedings or otherwise all property, including rights of ways, to lease property as lessee or lessor, and to hold and use any franchise property, real, personal, or mixed tangible or intangible, or any interest therein necessary or desirable for carrying out the objects and purposes of the district, and to sell, lease as lessor, exchange, transfer, and dispose of any property or interest therein at any time acquired by it, whenever the district shall determine that such property is not necessary for its corporate purposes and that it is in the best interest of the district. To enter into contracts for the purchase, acquisition, construction, and improvement of works and facilities necessary in connection with the purposes of the district. To plan, finance, acquire, construct, improve, own, operate, and maintain works and facilities in connection with the water, sewer, and sewage treatment or disposal facilities and systems of the district, and to make additions, extensions, improvements, and betterments thereto, and to operate and manage the same. To appoint such officers, agents, employees, and servants, including engineers, attorneys, accountants, construction and financial experts, superintendents, managers, and other employees and agents as may be necessary in its judgment, to prescribe their duties and to fix compensation. To maintain an office, to issue revenue bonds or other debt obligations which may be secured by a mortgage on the lands, buildings, machinery, and equipment, or by the pledge of the income and revenues derived or to be derived from any work of public improvement owned, leased, or operated by the district or both. To issue general obligation bonds under Article 6, Section 33 of the Constitution of Louisiana, or to levy taxes for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, or operating any work on public improvement, or any combination of these, when authorized by a vote of a majority of the electors of the area contained within the boundaries of the district who vote thereon at an election held for that purpose. Bonds so issued shall not exceed the aggregate 20% of the assessed valuation of the taxable property of the district, including both homestead exempt property, which shall be included on the assessment roll for the purposes of calculating debt limitations, and non-exempt property, to be ascertained by the last assessment for parish purposes previous to the delivery of the bonds representing such indebtedness, regardless of the date of the election at which said bonds shall have been voted. To issue in accordance with the laws of the state of Louisiana, refunding bonds for the purpose of refunding any outstanding bonds of the district. To make and to enter into all contracts and agreements necessary or incidental to the purposes of the district. To fix, establish, maintain, and make subsequent revisions of a schedule of rates and charges for water, sewer, and sewage disposal services furnished by the district. To receive and accept from any source grants for or in aid of the construction facilities of the district, or additions or extensions thereto, and to receive and accept aid or contributions from any source of either money, property, or other thing of value to be held, used, and applied for only for the purposes for which such grants and contributions may be made. To enter into all covenants, agreements, contracts, and obligations with the owners of any bonds of the district to finance the cost of the construction, acquisition, extensions, or improvements of the common works and facilities of the district, and all covenants, agreements, and obligations of the district shall be and shall constitute valid and legally binding covenants, agreements, and obligations of the district, and shall be fully enforceable in any court of competent jurisdiction against the district. To operate, maintain, improve, extend, or dispose of water, sewer, sewage disposal facilities, or any combination of these, heretofore owned or operated by any water or sewer districts included in the jurisdiction of the district, as such facilities may exist or as they may be extended. for the purpose of paying the cost of maintaining, operating, and administering the facilities of the district or any combination of these, or for paying the cost of constructing, extending, or improving such facilities, or any combination of these, the district shall have complete power and authority to charge any and all users of said facilities at such rates and charges or schedules as may be established by the district, which charges for services may be expended for operation and maintenance of said facilities, or the payment of the principal and interest on any outstanding indebtedness of the district. The district shall be authorized to combine on a single bill or statement any utility charge imposed on any user services of the district. Upon failure of any user to pay any amount due for such services provided by the district may withhold water or sewer services or both to such users until the delinquent payment is made current, to do any and all things necessary to carry out the purposes and intentions hereof.
We need a
Motion
motion.
open for public hearing.
Open. We have a motion open for public hearing by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Anyone wishing to speak on this subject?
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion to close by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Dennis Cullen.
Motion to move the ordinance.
We have a motion by Mr. Thompson to move the ordinance, second by Mr. Joseph. Any discussion on the ordinance? Any opposition? Ordinance passes. Thank you, Ms. Manda. We'll go to the next ordinance, the revoke of dedication of Turkey Road located in Section 9.
Whereas the petitioner, Ms. Anona Banker, who owns Turkey Road, has petitioned the Ascension Parish Council to revoke, alienate the dedication, and whereas the Department of Public Works, Engineering, and Planning have reviewed and researched said request and have reported their findings to the Ascension Parish Planning Commission, and whereas the Ascension Parish Planning Commission, upon review of said petition and after having considered all the facts relevant to this request, has concluded that said dedication is no longer needed for public purposes as defined pursuant to statutory law, and therefore recommends to the Parish Council the adoption of the proposed revocation request.
Move the ordinance, sir.
We have a motion for us to open for public hearing
I'm sorry.
by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, second by Mr. Valentine. Any discussion? Anyone wishing to speak on this? Come forward.
Move to close, Chairman.
We have a motion to close public hearing by Mr. Valentine,
I second.
second by Mr. Todd Lambert.
Move the ordinance, Chairman.
We have a motion to move the ordinance by Mr. Valentine,
Second.
second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance passes. We move to the amendment on idle no-wake zone ordinances.
Whereas the governing authority for Ascension Parish adopted Section 2230 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances on June 3, 1982, which established no-wake zones on the waterways of Ascension Parish, whereas the Ascension Parish Council has determined that the ordinance requires amendment to better serve the residents of the parish by providing for the duration of the no-wake zones as they apply to established areas and accepted places of business along those areas. Therefore, be it hereby ordained that the following be added to Section 2230 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances as Section E. Duration. Idle no-wake zones shall become effective for places of business in the established areas upon the acceptance by the parish council. Should a business in the established area cease to operate for a period of 10 days or more, the idle no-wake zone shall be lifted ipso facto. Should the premises resume operations at a later time, the idle no-wake zone shall automatically be reinstated.
Need a motion to open for public hearing? Moved by Mr. Valentine, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Anyone wishing to speak on this subject, please come forward.
Move to close, Mr.
We
Chairman.
have a motion by Mr. Valentine to close public hearing, second by Mr. Oliver Joseph.
Move the ordinance, Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Valentine to move the ordinance,
Second.
second by Mr. Oliver Joseph. Any discussion? Any opposition? The ordinance passes. Go into amend the ordinance approving appropriation of the 2010 operating capital budget.
Section 1, the Ascension Parish Council hereby ordains that the ordinance approving, adopting, and appropriating the 2010 operating and capital budgets for the Parish of Ascension is hereby amended, approved, and appropriated as follows. Operating budget, general fund, expenditures, general administration, professional services, $25,000. Appropriations, Festival of Festivals, $50,000. Parish Promotion County Agent, appropriations and grants, $30,000. Planning and zoning, operating supplies, $25,000. ISGIS, operating supplies, $42,700.
Motion to open public hearing.
We have a motion to open public hearing by Mr. Chris Lohr, second by Mr. Todd.
There's another page.
Oh.
Lighting District Number 4, revenues,
Oh,
parcel
man.
fee, $20,000.
You good? All right. We have a motion by Mr. Chris Lohr to open public hearing, and a second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Anyone wishing to speak on this subject, please come forward.
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Mr. Chris Lohr,
A second.
second by Mr. Todd Lambert. We'll move to the motion.
Move the ordinance, Mr. Chairman.
Ordinance moved by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Dennis Cullen. Any discussion? Any opposition? Ordinance passes. We'll need a motion to move to executive session on claim against Patterson Construction regarding punch list items for Hillaryville LCBG sewer project.
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Thompson.
Second.
A second by Mr. Dennis Cullen. We'll now move into executive session. Vote. Any opposition? We'll move into executive session. We'll be back. Roll call.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Chris Lowe.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to reconvene.
We have a motion to reconvene by Mr. Thompson. Second by Mr. Joseph. Now back in session. Right now, the chair would entertain a motion on the executive session decision.
Motion to proceed, to act legal to pursue damages or whatever from Patterson Construction.
Okay, so we have a motion to allow legal to arbitrate this.
To proceed.
To proceed. To proceed, excuse me, yes, sir.
With litigation.
And who's our second from?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Shake Snyder. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries. We'll move on to item number 27.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by
Second.
Mr. Todd Lambert and second by Mr. Valentine. Happy Easter to all you folks out there in Ascension Parish, and happy Easter to all you council members.